What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Stereo Rifles tuning in on the microphone as usual. If you're new to the channel and if you enjoyed what you've watched, make sure to hit that like button down below as well as the subscribe button if you want to see more of the content. Now, let's get into it, man. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back, all the new subscribers, the people that have been around a minute, man. Just want to say what's up. Thank you for being here, man. It's much appreciated. Now on to the main subject today, and that's going to be if we could rewind back in time and change the future. Black Ops 4 was 100 health, like a normal Call of Duty. How would it play? First off, I always just thought, when I came up with the subject, how would it change my playstyle personally in Call of Duty? If I think back to Infinite Warfare, I think back to Black Ops 3, World War II, and what guns I used, you know, my personal meta of the game, if you want to call it that. And I look back, let's say Black Ops 3 for an example. I mean, I do remember using the Vesper pre-nerf, because that gun was a freaking beast. But other than that, pretty much every gun I used was either a power weapon like the Man of War, or basically the workhorses of the Pick My Class, which would be like the Cuda from Black Ops 3, the PPSH, the MP40 from World War II, Infinite Warfare. I can't remember the name of that damn SMG, but man, I like it. It's got dual magazines. It's just a tight, flat shooting gun, man. It's a beast. I should go back and maybe I'll put it up on the screen. I'll put what it was called. But that and the K-Bar, that was the sweat gun. It wasn't an OP, but they were the go-to kind of workhorse guns of the game, you know, of the meta, you know what I mean? And it makes me wonder, like I said, what would it be like if the game was 100 health instead of 150? How would people play and what guns they would use? I mean, because let's look at the current situation, at least for me personally. Let's start that off. And that's like my go-to, probably SMG, at least in core, Spitfire all day long. SOG 9mm, alright. It's okay, but for me, if I want to sweat or I'm against a team of sweats, I got to pull it out or I want to put up scores, Spitfire all day long, man. It just gets it done. With 150 health, for me personally, in my opinion, fast time to kill weapons are the way to go, because they just get the bullets downrange quick, and as long as your your thumbs are good, which mine are decent, it's a pretty effective tool in the bag for sure, man. And I mean, what else? I mean, I was using the Rampart for a minute. I've been kind of over that. I kind of go through phases with guns. It's weird. It's weird how I'm like that with Call of Duty. I go through phases. I get bored of using one thing or another. But you know, like guns like the Auger DMR is real popular, especially with the buff, the Titan. Again, these are power weapons. You know, they're. I guess if a guy like Exclusive Ace broke it down, it's technically a slow time to kill. But if you land 3 or 4 shots, man, even at range with the Titan, you know, you're melting people. Not only that, even with the recoil nerf, I mean, that thing still shoots pretty darn flat. I mean, it doesn't, you know, jump around. But now on the second side of that, again, let's go back to me personally. Honestly, if the game was 100 health, like the standard time to kill overall, like in the previous Call of Duties, I probably wouldn't touch the Spitfire. Honestly, I would stick with the MX9. The GKS will be a god gun. The accuracy on that thing with 100 health. If you think back, like a good example, I always say, you can go back to Black Ops 3 and you can count 3-4 hit markers tops at any range. But using that gun in Black Ops 3, that's how consistent the time to kill was. It was just, that's what it was. You know, so 3 or 4 hits in this game, Black Ops 4, imagine that. I mean, again, the Spitfire to me would be irrelevant almost. I wouldn't touch it. The GKS would be a freaking beast. But yeah, honestly, I feel like if, again, it was 100 health, I feel like the Argo DMR, the Titan, them 2 guns especially, would not rule the meta at all. If we think back to Black Ops 3, the Shiva was, don't get me wrong, was a good gun. But it was very little used, man. And to me, in my opinion, if I think back, LMGs were kind of, they were in the meta. They were there. but they weren't there nowhere near as much. The Man of War, the ICR, what was it, the KN, which is pretty much the AK-47, was it the HK, you know what I mean? That was the dominant guns. You know, the VMP, the CUDA, very little LMG use, man. And I feel like LMGs are heavier this year in Call of Duty than they've ever been. And what's the reason why? Well, granted, I know you lose some mobility, but number one, they got the heaviest time to kill. Two, they gave predictive recoil to the guns this year, which I still don't understand why they nerfed those, because that was part of being the 150 health, so you can land more shots. It kind of balanced it out and all that good stuff. They still nerfed it anyway. But then again, the gun's still good. But yeah, I just feel like the meta would totally change, man. Not all together. You're still gonna have your M8 sweats. I'm sorry, the swordfish, AVR. You know, they're still gonna be, excuse me, used. But there are definitely some tweaks on the overall population of the game and how it would play. And lastly, on the subject, how would it change how you guys played? I want to know down in the comments section. If it wasn't 150 health and it played like Call of Duty titles, again, Infinite Warfare, World War II, Black Ops 3, what guns would you use? Would you still play the same way you play now? Would you still be using the same gun crutch now and attachments? I'm really curious, man. And that's, again, part of why I'm on YouTube. I like talking to the COD community, just BSing, ranting, what have you. I try to be entertaining at the same time. But yeah, I'd like to know, man. It just makes me curious how much better this game would have been with 100 health. We're not even talking about the specialists, because in my opinion, I think having the current specialist system they have on top of the 150 health is what makes this game just so taxing. I guess that's the word. That's a good word for it. It's taxing. It just burns you. You get burnt out on this game so quick, man. I think that's part of it. Like I said, I think if it was only 150 health and Black Ops 3 Specialist, the style of Black Ops 3 where you had passive perk and aggressive perk, or Specialist ability, and 100 health, at 150 health, or you had the 150 health and it was only Black Ops 3 style Specialist, it wouldn't be as bad, But the fact that it's both, it's just like, it's just, it's so much, But yeah, I'm just curious, man. What would you guys do? What guns would you be using? What specialists would you be using? If it was more, okay, so, battery with, you got the War Machine, the Cluster Grenade. Imagine if you only had the War Machine as the aggressive, like in Black Ops 3. And again, you can pick the passive ability. You had one or the other. You didn't have both. Would it change the way you played? Would it change the meta of this game? Would it have been a more successful title and release this year? I don't know. But that's about all I got, guys. Thanks for tuning in, man. Just a short little rant. I thought it was cool. It was some food for thought, as usual. That's kind of what I do around here. And I'll just see you on the next one, man. Take it easy.